Our fulfillment as leaders, as individuals, depends upon our understanding of what is going on within the aspects that comprise each of us, within our human complex. It can be somewhat simple for each of us to fulfill our capacity to create uniquely in this world. It certainly does take work and commitment, but the path to that level of individual fulfillment is available to each of us. Many of us are caught in a trap that has us endlessly competing for resources, comparing ourselves with others to our own detriment, and living in survival mode. Meanwhile, all of us experience this at times. But what if we knew what comprised both the operations and the programming bugs in our human complex, our makeup? What level of fulfillment could you create if you could see what was holding you back and you could do something about it? That is what the leadership score in the context of creating a leader is designed to do for each of us. Through this work, we can see how much power we have to create and how well we express the actions and responsibilities of a leader, of a human. If we don't find ourselves at the highest level of fulfillment possible, and we probably don't if we are here and seeking, then we may want to educate ourselves about the aspects of the human complex that may be holding that fulfillment hostage. Let's take a look at two critical aspects of fulfillment: traumas and limiting beliefs. I always like to connect with experts in their respective fields to share learning and experiences whenever possible. Karl Dawson is a founding master of EFT, also known as tapping, the creator of matrix reimprinting, and an author of 2 books with Hay House, including Transform Your Beliefs, Transform Your Life. We sat down recently to talk about what are traumas and what are limiting beliefs. Here is some of that conversation. Having done quite a bit of work on my own, and having worked with several clients, I've equated the impact of traumas to be like that of an emotional bullet wound to the nervous system. Let me explain that. We have all experienced the feeling of being in an environment where we know it is not safe, whether that lack of safety is to our physical body, our reputation, our financial well-being, or another area of importance to us. When we are caught in that moment and overwhelmed with no escape, with no room to fight or to flee, a mark in the nervous system may be created that says to remember this as a dangerous place, person, and circumstance. This includes all of the associated detail, as the parts of our brain, including the amygdala, don't distinguish any aspect of the situation as irrelevant. Although the safety feature worked for our ancestors and got humanity to the point where we are, the speed and complexity of life in the new millennium and how fast those changes occurred in humanity makes it far more possible for us to have these overwhelming experiences in our nervous system called traumas. Unfortunately, that is coupled with a broad lack of awareness of how traumas and beliefs are programmed and how they affect us on a daily basis. Once the nervous system marks this dangerous and overwhelming event, that hits us like an emotional bullet. Our nervous system starts a recording indiscriminately capturing all of the information in the environment where we are. It would be like the difference between seeing someone in person and focusing directly on them, which is what we do, versus looking at all the details in a still picture and considering that everything, including the kitchen sink, could be dangerous to our well-being. This level of detail from within these trauma recordings is compared to anything similar in our current environment. The point is that this system is designed to keep us safe and not necessarily fulfilled or powerfully creating. These many recordings from overwhelming moments are programmed very deeply in our subconscious mind. In an overwhelming or traumatic moment, I can't process everything that's coming in. Therefore, it's similar in the nervous system to when we go out to a restaurant and order a meal that's too large for us to consume. We can process that by having a doggy bag. Our nervous system has the equivalent of an emotional doggy bag. Later on, when I'm safe, I can go back and digest or process this nervous system injury, known as a trauma, and the contents of the doggy bag or the recording. If I don't process these, my nervous system is programmed to keep me out of all situations that resemble any part of the contents of these doggy bags, of which all of us have many that are running our lives in unconscious ways. The decisions we made, which become these hard programmed beliefs which limit us during these critical moments of traumas in our lives, are part of the contents of these doggy bags. When all of this remains unconscious to us and unprocessed, it makes it so that an unhappy 5-year-old part of ourselves may have more to say in running our daily lives than we, the more conscious part of ourselves, do. That's a short rendition of how I look at the two parts of traumas, which is the hit to the nervous system that I call an emotional bullet, as well as the contents that are recorded in a very special way, which is like an emotional doggy bag. Karl, having worked with thousands of clients to resolve the effects of these issues and being an author and trainer of this critical area to our fulfillment, how do you look at traumas?
We'll put physical traumas like falling down and breaking a leg to one side. We're talking about events that are emotionally traumatizing rather than physical traumas. We separate them into two kinds of traumas. We have big T traumas, which would be things like a car crash, being mugged, abused, sexually abused, a tsunami or earthquake, just the really big traumas in life. The death of somebody close to you. Whereas small T traumas are where an event happens and it's more about the decisions you make. So you could be in school and the teacher says, "Oh, you stupid child, you get to the back of the class." Or your parent says, "Go away, I'm busy right now." These can be a trauma for a young child. To be traumatized, all you need is two key elements: to feel powerless and have a threat to your safety or well-being. So imagine to a young child if I say, "Go away, I'm busy." If you need that primary caregiver in that moment and it's really needed and they're just sending you away, or they're just not listening to you, or they don't seem to care about you in that moment, that takes on the second type of trauma, small T traumas. The key thing, especially with small T traumas, is that in that moment we make decisions like nobody loves me, I'm stupid, what I want doesn't matter, and all of these thousands of different beliefs that we've developed throughout our lives. So that's how we get traumatized, and the key differences between the two types of traumas.
You know, we often hear small T traumas being called something like attachment traumas. These represent those times, like you said, when we needed something from our caregivers, but for whatever reason, they were physically or emotionally unavailable to meet that need. That child just isn't developed enough to reason out why the needs aren't getting met. And that is when they make up a story, a meaning, or a decision about why they're unworthy, they're unlovable, they're unsafe, and so on. All of these are known as limiting beliefs, and they're programmed in our nervous system at that time. And this sticks with us unconsciously unless we're able to resolve it fully. So as you can see, so many of us are constantly spending our precious power to create, unconsciously keeping these unresolved traumas and limiting beliefs intact in our nervous system. As a leader, as a person, each of us holds our own responsibility to fulfill ourselves. It seems that understanding traumas and limiting beliefs could supply us with a lot more fulfillment if we courageously step into it and explore parts of ourselves that may need a little update in programming. Because of the effects of traumas and limiting beliefs over time in the nervous system, oftentimes we are reduced in the fulfillment of our potential and our power to create. With work and commitment, the effects of these traumas and limiting beliefs can be reversed and resolved, and our experience of life can even be improved over time, allowing us to fulfill our potential.